4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman. The subtitle, Time Management for Mortals, suggests to me that the author is painfully conscious of how short the average human lifespan is. Until another 1.5 billion years or more from now, when the last organism is dead on Earth due to the intensifying heat of the sun, assuming we live to be 80, most of us will live for about 4,000 weeks in total. Some people are so proud of how busy they are, however, and I've experienced this myself, they will answer the phone just to tell you they're too busy to talk. Time divided us more than it had before after the shutdown in early 2020, when the future felt for several weeks like it had been put on hold. So many people suck at managing limited time. Heck, I'll admit I've gotten much worse at it in the last several years. This book is an attempt, however, to uncover or recover some ways of thinking about time that do justice to our situation of 4,000 weeks. And this is hyper modern. Guys, I don't think it could be any more relevant. The author said that life accelerates and people grow more impatient the more productive we become. The more we try to force time to conform to our agendas, the more it feels like it slips from our control. The more books I review, even if you guys don't watch these videos and recommend more, the more books I find myself looking for to review. But what do I have to say about this one? What can we learn from it? In this video, I'm going to go over some of my thoughts on the book, some things I liked, things I wasn't maybe so crazy about, which I don't think will be too many. I'm also going to go over some standout quotes, who I recommend this book to, and what books to maybe check out next. Just so you guys know, there are affiliate links in the description, and if you buy anything through those links, like maybe this book, then I get commission, which helps me build this channel and keep making these videos. You can also find them on my Amazon storefront. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sam, and I want to make self-growth normal, because people shouldn't have to look this information up. It should just be mainstream knowledge. If you agree, then please make sure to smash that like button. Chapter 1 is Limit Embracing Life. What I got from the first chapter is a few things. To start with, this dude is extremely articulate. Extremely. Secondly, life is limited, and we really need to embrace that. The author said he's not aware of any time management technique more effective than facing the way things truly are. Chapter 2, the efficiency trap. This is rendering yourself more efficient by either implementing various productivity techniques or working harder, but it won't generally result in the feeling of having enough time, because all else being equal, the increase in demands will offset any benefits. It's really crazy to think about it. If you're like a time management nut job, you're probably really getting hit by this. And you may want to take a second and go touch grass. Your boss sees you get more work done than your coworker. So what does she do? She assigns you more work, because why would she assign it to someone who doesn't get as much done? There was another excellent example about the appliances and tools housewives were given, like laundry machines and dishwashers, because they didn't ultimately make the housewives more productive, as the use of these appliances and tools only raised the demand and standards for higher quality and quantity clean laundry and dishes. Chapter 3 is Facing Finitude. A word that I'd never heard of in my life. You find yourself questioning the value level of certain priorities in life with this book, even in small decisions. Many of us know that Apple Pay is probably the easiest way to pay for anything that'll let you use it. Chances are you probably already have your phone out when you get to the register. He said that as for Apple Pay, he likes a little friction when purchasing something, because it largely increases the chance that he'll stop himself from spending money on something that's useless. I have heard in so many books about like Amazon and stuff about this like buy now button, and I've seen it on Amazon. I use Amazon on a fairly regular basis. I am a Prime member after all, and I am an affiliate marketer too. But I never ever use the buy now button for this literal exact reason. It's just too easy. These companies are just extra for certain people. It makes it feel like they don't care about whether we actually want to take a second to make sure we really want what we're buying. I don't know, make a process more convenient and it's drained of its meaning to a degree. Chapter 4, Becoming a Better Procrastinator. I think a lot of this chapter centered around procrastinating on things that matter less. It reminds me of almost a time management based subtle art by Mark Manson, where you worry less about things that don't matter and more about things that do. But so much of this book, it just sounds like accepting what is. Chapter 5, Watermelon Problem. This chapter made a chaotic, self-destructive platform out of social media. The author notes things like how when you open a social media app, there are 1,000 people on the other side of the screen who are paid to keep you on the screen. So it's unrealistic to expect users to resist the assault on their time and attention attention by willpower alone. Chapter 6 is Intimate Interrupter. I listened to this chapter 3 times and couldn't really seem to get anything out of it. But for anyone wondering, the intimate interrupter is the self within the self that whistles and pounds upon the door panels, promising an easier life if only you'd redirect your attention away from the meaningful but challenging task at hand to whatever's unfolding one browser tab away. Damn, what a long sentence. Just a quick rant/side note. Is it just me, or is social media getting really boring? Like, it's really hard for me to spend more than maybe 15 to 20 seconds on Facebook before exiting out. Nothing on Facebook is interesting to me anymore. I don't remember the last time I spent really any time on Twitter, or I guess X. I haven't been on Instagram in years. Even TikTok, the rising star since before the shutdown. I can really only look at for like 30 minutes tops nowadays. And I can't even do that more than once a day. There's no way I can do that more than once a day. Influencers I used to follow, I watch maybe a YouTube short and I'm like, damn, this dude is getting stale. I don't understand why someone would spend so much time on social media other than maybe networking. Especially nowadays, I spend my time at work with my fiance or working on these videos, and if I'm not doing any of those, I'm sleeping. Why? Those are the most important things to me, and not in that order. Other than vacationing, which I can't do sustainably without doing at least 2 of them consistently, what else would I rather do if I had maybe, say, 3 months to live? Such a simplistic life. Life is complicated enough as it is. Why spread myself so thin? And I hope you're watching this and honestly thinking, maybe he has a point. Maybe I don't need to be doing this and this every day. I could just be doing these very few things instead, because if I had 3 months to live, what could I do now? What would I work for that's worth working for? Where does social media actually belong on that list too? Is social media really still all that interesting? I'm not just saying this to preach, guys. Listening to the author talk about it, I just can't relate at all like I used to. Also, like regretting decisions we make. Facebook advertising brought me Gatsby shoes, and I can make a whole video about the beauty of my experience with my Gatsby shoes. In fact, I just bought another pair. By the way, these shoes are insane. One pair lasted me a whole year. They're the prettiest shoes. I get compliments from everyone about them, and they are so comfortable. There's a link in the description. If you guys buy a pair through that link, then you do get 10% off any order. Just throwing that out there. I cannot recommend these shoes enough, and I am really not one for nice things. In fact, these are probably the nicest thing I've bought myself maybe ever that wasn't like a phone or computer. Chapter 7, we never really have time. This chapter accounts for something called Hofstede's Law, where things always take longer than we expect. People take this so seriously and they believe in it so strongly that they will be hours early to something. Chapter 8, You Are Here. This chapter was about how the moment of truth is always now, that life is nothing but a succession of present moments ending in death, and that you'll probably never get to a point where you have things in perfect working order, and that you may as well throw yourself into now as opposed to throwing yourself into the desire not to die, aka productivity. If you need help doing this and would like an example of what it looks like, spend a whole day with a cat or a dog. Cats and dogs are phenomenally present animals. I have a cat right next to me. The lovely Cece, Seuss. She has 3 legs. But I think this chapter was necessary, as it's hard to imagine a book like this without some brief expansion into presence and the now. Chapter 9 is Rediscovering Rest. As the author says, spending at least some of your leisure time wastefully, focused solely on the pleasure of the experience, is the only way not to waste it, and to be truly at leisure rather than covertly engaged in future-focused self-improvement. In order to most fully inhabit the only life you ever get, you have to refrain from using every spare hour for personal growth. From this perspective, idleness is not merely forgivable, it's practically an obligation. Chapter 10, The Impatience Spiral. The faster we find ourselves able to do things, so many examples in this chapter show the more impatient we get, no matter the speed at which they happen. Amazon estimated at the writing of this book that if it took 1 second longer on average for their home screen to load, they would lose $1.6 billion per year. Really think about that. We have a societal discomfort of wanting to hasten the speed of reality. We have this rising expectation of how quickly things should be happening. People get so impatient so quickly nowadays, it reminds me of when someone's trying so hard to get ahead of people in traffic when they're not getting where they're going any faster by driving faster than anyone else. Like, dude, what are you doing? Chapter 11 is staying on the bus. Patience, however, becomes a form of power in a world geared for hurry. The capacity to resist the urge to hurry is actually a way to get ahead by doing the work that counts and getting the satisfaction from the work itself, rather than deferring all your fulfillment to the future, which really isn't all that guaranteed. This stuff sounds kind of meta now that I say it out loud. The author did say, though, that he learned this from a Harvard professor in art history named Jennifer Roberts, whose first assignment is always to go to a local art museum and stare at a painting for 3 hours straight. Chapter 12, The Loneliness of the Digital Nomad. Pretty cool name for a chapter, right? I just couldn't get behind this chapter for some reason. I listened to it 3 times. I feel like I've been saying that so much lately. Chapter 13 is Cosmic Intelligence Therapy. This one is pretty insane. I have heard authors talk about how insignificant we are no matter what we try to do in our lifetimes, but I have never heard it explained quite like this. This honestly sort of altered my perspective a little. Even the Da Vincis and Steve Jobs really didn't make that much of an impact at all. And if they did, it won't be remembered as long as we think. The universe might be 13.8 billion years old, but human civilization, really think about this, has only been around for about 6,000 years. Assuming the average lifespan is 80 years, that means on average, the basic entire length of human civilization is the equivalent to the lifespans of 75 different people you've known throughout your life put together. That's really kind of nothing, if you think about it. So making content or building houses or social work or UPS drivers or Amazon warehouse workers or whatever the hell you do for a living, plumber, doctor, electrician, even if that helps 75 or more people in the grand scheme of things, it is still a life well lived in terms of the impact you leave on others. Even if you just make one person smile every day, sure, the more people you impact and the more you impact them for the better, good for you. But damn, we really are nothing. Like, I've never heard it put quite like that. And he goes way into this, but not all too much. And lastly, chapter 14, The Human Disease. In the last chapter, he proposes that we are time. So anything can happen in the moments we don't feel like we can escape. He explains how in a lot of ways, we are the time that we are trying to control, and how that's not something we can exactly change. But overall, what a concept, what an execution, seriously. His personality is just the right amount too. It's not so much that it takes away from what he's trying to say, but it's enough that it adds its own flavor to the book too. Definitely a top 5 for this year. A quick direction one here though, it's a great work for someone who can't stand how little time there is to get things done. Quotes, "There will always be too much to do. We are even limited in our capacity to embrace our limitations. Attention is the beginning of devotion. We are distracted from distraction by distraction. We'll never get the upper hand in our relationship with the moments of our lives because we are those moments." Direction 2. If you like this book, check out The Subtle Art by Mark Manson and The Gap in the Gain by Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy. 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books that I mentioned in this video if you want to check those out too. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it. But hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I don't get why people watch this far into my videos and they don't subscribe. But if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to get a notification whenever I drop new videos, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere and I will see you then.